Hello to my amazing audience, and welcome to the Let It Go and Flourish podcast show.
Are you ready to break free from what's holding you back? Introducing Let It Go and Flourish, a transformative podcast that guides you toward becoming the best version of yourself professionally and personally. Each episode empowers you to release the limitations, fears, and old patterns that keep you stuck, while embracing the strategies and mindsets that lead to true success. Through powerful conversations and expert insights, you'll discover how to transform your career trajectory while maintaining inner balance, build unshakable confidence in your abilities, create meaningful relationships that support your growth, and master the art of letting go to make room for what serves you. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, building your dream business, or seeking deeper personal fulfillment, Let It Go and Flourish provides the guidance you need to thrive in all areas of life. Join our community of forward-thinking individuals who are ready to release what no longer serves them and step into their full potential. New episodes drop every Friday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. Visit merlinclark.com to listen to the podcast and take the first step toward your extraordinary future. Remember, your greatest self emerges when you let go of who you think you should be and embrace who you truly are. Let it go and flourish. Release, renew, and rise.
Hello to our amazing audience. Welcome to another episode of the Let It Go and Flourish podcast show. I am your host, Merlin A. Clark, and I thank you today for tuning in. Now, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, the Let It Go and Flourish podcast is a transformative podcast that guides you in becoming the best version of yourself, both professionally and personally. The inspiration for the podcast came from my book, Let It Go and Flourish, Live a Life of Peace, Passion, and Purpose. And this book is available on Amazon. However, if you desire a signed copy, you may purchase that directly from me. Now, today, family, you are in for a special treat. We are fortunate to have Coach Carrie Willis as my expert guest, and she will be dropping major value. You know the people I bring on this show. She is a powerhouse in her own rights. I'd like to share a bit from her bio for you, just to let you know exactly who this lady is. Coach Carrie Willis is a financial clarity coach and the founder of GR8 Finances and Retirement Clarity. She helps employees, business owners, and families understand where they are financially, identify what's getting in the way, and make informed decisions with confidence. Every conversation is different because every person, every family, and every business have different goals. She also partners with school districts to provide retirement clarity education for employees. Rather than one-size-fits-all presentations, her approach focuses on helping people understand the benefits they already have, the choices available to them, and how those decisions affect their future. In other words, she doesn't do a cookie cutter thing. Whether someone has questions about retirement, life insurance, budgeting, debt strategies, preparing for college, protecting their income, or building wealth, her goal is never to overwhelm them with products. Her goal is to replace confusion with clarity so that they can make decisions they understand and feel confident about. Coach Carrie is also the host of Carrie Connects, where she interviews leaders who are making a positive impact in their communities, and a keynote speaker passionate about helping people make better financial decisions through education. Now, today we will be speaking on National Make a Will Month. But before we delve into that, huh, Coach Carrie, welcome to the Let It Go and Flourish podcast show.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Marilyn. I greatly appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much for being here because I know you're a busy bee. A busy bee. Now, how did we meet? We met on Leah Garcia's show. Every Wednesday, Leah Garcia has this wealth strategy show, and Carrie has been a very loyal supporter and participant in the show, as well as a guest speaker. And that's how we met. And then we decided, I invited her to be on my show. And before she said yes, we scheduled a Zoom call so we could learn more about each other, what she does, and what I do. And then she did a DISC assessment. And we had another meeting for a debriefing of her DISC assessment. Did I leave anything out, Coach Carrie?
No, I think that covers it.
All right. So this is National Make a Will Month. And I'm sure many people, like myself, was not aware of that. So thanks for showing clarity and making me aware of that. And, I have some questions for you that I think will help our audience understand what is a will, how it differs from other instruments, and if everybody has to have a will, who needs to have one? What is included in a will and what should not be included in a will? Because those are some questions that have been burning on my mind for a very long time until I had my will, my estate planning completed by my attorney. And so, Coach Carrie, again, welcome. And I hope the audience have taken out their pads and papers or their note takers on their computers because you will be dropping major value as I've heard you done before on other shows, other platforms. Now, August is National Make a Will Month.
Yeah.
What would you say is the purpose behind bringing attention to wills during this month?
Well, I think because it's widely observed as National Make a Will Month, the practical purpose is really simple. It just gives people a reminder to stop postponing this really important part of estate planning. So I just want to preface by saying this is general financial education. Like Marilyn said, she talked with her attorney. So I'm not giving legal advice. Estate planning and advanced directive laws vary by state. So make sure you consult with an estate planning attorney for advice about your own personal documents. And I can help connect you to a lawyer if you need one. But the other thing is that a will is not just something for wealthy people. If you have children, a home, a bank account, retirement assets, life insurance, personal property, even if you just have preferences about what should happen after your death, you got reasons to plan. And this is Make a Will Month. So there we have it.
Great, great information. You've answered some questions I already have in my mind. So when people hear the word will,
Yeah.
they often think everything falls under one document. What is the difference between a last will and testament and a living will? Explain for us.
Okay, great question. So the last will and testament is the legal document that most people are referring to when they say, oh, I got to get my will together. But that document determines for the state what's going to happen with your property after you pass away. So it decides, are my things going to go into probate or not? And it can also name the person who's going to administer your estate. And my thing that I didn't know when I was first learning about this is that it also nominates who can be the guardian for your children. So if you pass away without a will, the state can decide who gets your children. So the easiest way to remember it is the last will speaks after you die.
Okay. Great
So,
response.
yeah, thank you.
Great response. After you die. That's when it speaks. Now, I recently had to create a comprehensive power of attorney for my
Mhm,
mother. Um, and included in that was an advanced medical directive.
mhm.
Okay. So, for the benefits of our audience who may not know, what is an advanced medical directive? And is that the same thing as a living will?
Great question. So, a living will deals with medical wishes while you're still alive, but you just can't communicate for yourself. So,
Mhm.
depending on state law, it can address, your preferences concerning life-sustaining treatment and other end-of-life medical decisions. So, the simple distinction is the last will and testament deals with what happens after death. A living will means, hey, I'm alive, but I can't talk. I can't communicate certain healthcare wishes while I'm alive, but I'm unable to speak for myself. And then the advanced medical directive, and the terminology varies by state, which is why there's a lot of confusion around it. But advanced directive is like the broader term for the documents that communicate your future healthcare wishes. So a living will might be one part of that planning, a healthcare proxy, a medical power of attorney, which names the person to make your medical decisions if you can't make them for yourself. And some states and some forms combine these functions into this comprehensive advanced healthcare directive. But a simple way to explain it is one question is, what care do I want? And then the other is, who do I trust to make decisions if I cannot make these decisions? And so the state document determines how your wishes and appointments get recorded.
Oh, wow. I hope the audience is taking notes because these are some powerful questions. And the information you're sharing for those people who have not yet done their estate planning,
Mhm.
they need to take notes. All right. So, what happens when someone dies without a will?
Oh my goodness. So if you die without a valid will, you're considered to have died intestate, INTE state. And so state law is now going to determine how probate assets are distributed. We see this sometimes with celebrities and maybe with people in our own families. But the important distinction is this: not making a decision does not mean that no decision gets made. It just means that you don't get to decide. So it can mean that the state default rules, whatever their rules are for your state, they're going to make the decisions that you really should have addressed yourself. And again, it varies state by state. So anybody that's listening, get state specific legal guidance.
Okay. That's great information. And you know what saddens me when children are involved
Mm-hmm.
and people don't create these documents. They don't participate in an estate planning.
Mm-hmm.
And they may not want certain people to be the guardians of their children.
Yeah,
And the children end up exactly where they did not want them to be, but because they did not take the time to create these legal documents and file them with the correct government agencies,
that's true.
their children end up. And their assets also end up where they don't want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who actually needs to make a will? Because you know what? A lot of people think that I don't need to make a will. I have a 9 to 5 job. I don't have any money. I don't. So let me ask you this: does everyone need to make a will? Is estate planning only important for people who have accumulated significant wealth?
That is such a good question. And no, estate planning is not only for wealthy people. I know people sometimes hear estate and they think millions of dollars, right? But your
Mhm.
estate can include the property and financial interests that you leave behind, your home, your checking and savings accounts, your vehicles, your personal belongings, and even other assets. So, another major reason to plan, especially if you're a parent, a will is going to nominate guardians for minor children, but the estate planning is more about giving instructions, organizing your decisions, and reducing uncertainty for the people that you leave behind. They know exactly who gets the dresser, the chair, grandma's cooking recipes. And so you want to make sure that you have an estate in place.
Great answer, great information. You mentioned grandma recipes because that has been a bone of contention in many families.
Yes.
She loved me. I was her favorite. She
Hmm.
intended for me to have the recipes. But if
Yes,
grandma did not put that in writing, it's free for all.
that's
Even
right.
though she really intended for you to have it and she shared that information with you, and she may have even shared it at the family dinner table, if it's
Hmm.
not in writing, she's not here to say who gets it. So,
That's right.
grandma, put your recipes, make a will and say who will get your recipes for that peach cobbler or that sweet potato pie or your
Right.
favorite whatever it is. Make sure you put that in your will because
Definitely.
the grandchild who did not visit you is the one who's going to claim that you intended for her to get it. So great answer. um, are there financial assets, Coach Carrie, that may pass directly to beneficiaries instead of being distributed through a will?
And so there are some, right? So if you don't have the will, think of it like the estate is what you own and your financial property interest that you leave behind. So a will is that legal document that's going to give instructions for the disposition of probate property. It can also address things like who's my executor and who are the guardians for my children, where the trust is more like the legal arrangement. That's
Mm,
kind of, where your property is held and it's managed by a trustee for your beneficiaries according to the terms of the trust. And so trusts come in different forms, they serve different purposes. And of course, probate is the court supervised legal process that's associated with administering your probate property after you pass away. So the concepts are related, but they're not necessarily interchangeable.
great answer. So let me ask you this. Let's say I have my bank account, my investment accounts, and I have designated my beneficiaries on each account. I don't need to put that in a will, correct?
Well, I think that's a great question. And I think that anything that you don't want the courts to decide, anything that you want to make the decision for yourself while you're living, those are great conversations to have with your estate attorney. What things should I put in my will? If there's some things that it doesn't matter to you where it goes or who gets it, if there are things that are more important to you, there are family heirlooms. So it really depends. Everybody's circumstance and everybody's situation is different. But I would recommend making a list, gathering all of your assets, all of your valuables, making a list and having that conversation with an attorney.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Why is it important to review beneficiary designations on things like life insurance and retirement accounts as part of this conversation? And I'm telling you, I'm going to hear what you have to say because I've had an experience not long ago. But tell us, why is it important for us to review beneficiary designations?
So financial assets might pass according to the beneficiary designation versus what's in the will. And so your life insurance, your retirement accounts, all of these things, there's going to be a bell in a second. I'm doing a financial wellness workshop at a school, so pardon me. But those assets that you have, that's why you got to review your beneficiaries after major life events. And really, just as a part of your regular financial reviews, you should be doing those with your financial representative. Some people do it quarterly, some people do it every 6 months, some people do it annually. But just think about this: you are wandering across the land and you see the love of your life. You guys get married, you have children, and then you get divorced. And if you pass away, but you have not updated your beneficiaries, maybe you got divorced, maybe you got remarried, but if your paperwork is not updated, whatever is in writing, that's what the law has to go by. And so maybe you have other children. Maybe when you first got your life insurance policy, you had one child, but now you have five children. Well, if it's not updated, only one child is going to get those benefits. And so you, every time you have a major life event, a wedding, a death, a birth, a divorce, a marriage, you want to make sure that you're updating those documents, because just writing it down and on a piece of paper, beautiful handwriting, that's not going to fix your outdated beneficiary designations, okay? No. Your legal documents and your financial accounts need to work together.
They need to work together because even though, and I'll share a quick story. I have this friend. She got married. Her husband was divorced from it. She married a divorcee. And he got very ill. And for like almost 5 years, she took care of him. He did not change his beneficiary to her name. The first wife's name was on the designation of beneficiary for his insurance and everything. And sadly to say, the wife who cared for him, who quit her job and to care for him for 5 years, there's nothing to prove that he intended her to get it just because she was his last wife. So the first wife, she got everything. But there was a level of decency in her that she allowed a small portion of it to go to the grandchildren. But she kept it all. She kept it all because he did not review it. You get mad and you forgot. And I guess some people don't want to ask. You have to ask those hard questions. And it's not that you're a gold digger because you ask about money. Before you get married to someone, you need to have conversations about finances, health, and everything to know what it is that you're getting into. Because this woman, for 5 years, she took care of him, and the first wife got everything. So when I heard that story, I contacted one of my siblings and I said, "You're in your second marriage now. Did you remember to do so and so?" He said, "You know what, Merlin? I never thought about it." He had not done that.
Yes.
He forgot. And I said, "I'm following up with you next week." And I did. And his wife hadn't thought about it either. Had not thought about it either.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't think about those things. But on the reverse side, sometimes the person who is on the account passes away, but you also have to remember to update it if the beneficiary passes away. Because sometimes people will say, "Oh, I want my mom to be my beneficiary because she's going to take care of my children or my dad." But if that person passes away and you don't name someone new, then it's still the same situation where the state is going to start making those decisions about what's happening. So you really want to make sure with those major life events, marriage, divorce, death, you have children, you have grandchildren, update those documents frequently. And that's one of the things I do regularly with my clients is we make sure to have those updates. I contact them on their birthdays. I contact them on their wedding anniversaries, just to make sure that everything is still the same. And if it's not, let's get those documents updated.
Are you listening to that, audience? she is following up with her clients to make sure they are making the updates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are planning to create a will or any estate planning documents, keep in mind what Coach Carrie is saying. And I want you also to um, follow Coach Carrie here on LinkedIn. And I'm going to put her LinkedIn uh, handle here so you could follow her because she's dropping major value here. So let me um, put this in the comment here. Let's see. Where is the comment field? Let me scroll down here so that comment. Let's put this in here. Post a comment. This is where you can follow her to connect with her after the show. To if you need more information on this, you want to be one of her clients. You see the way she treats her clients. She is following up with them on their birthday, anniversaries, and all of that to make sure. Because who knows, they may have got divorced
Mm-hmm.
and then remarried and did not do that. So, all right, here we are. Now, what happens? We hear the word estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
We hear the words estate, will, trust, and probate used together a lot. Can
Mm-hmm.
you explain the difference between them in everyday language? Because it can be confusing.
Yeah, so real simple. The will is the legal document, the trust is the legal arrangement, and the probate is the court supervised legal process. So you have the document, the arrangement, and the process. So when they say give me DAP, that's what it is, the document, the arrangement, and the process. So the will is the document, the trust is the arrangement, the probate is the process.
So you're going to talk to your attorney and said, I want you to create my
Dap, yeah,
estate
yeah.
planning
You
with
know
a
how the kids say, give me dap.
DAP. Give me a DAP. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. And does having a will, you may have answered this before, but does having a will keep your family from having to go through probate?
No, 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 no. And that's really one of the biggest misconceptions. So even if we talked about it once, we need to talk about it again because a lot of people have that confusion. And that's why I say confusion is expensive, but clarity pays for life. Having a will doesn't automatically avoid probate at all. The
Oh,
will is used in the probate process for property that is subject to probate. So some assets can pass outside probate depending on how they're owned or how they're designated. So, for example, um, that might include assets with a valid beneficiary designation. So, let's say you have an investment account and you are designating who you want your beneficiary to be.
mhm.
Some assets that are properly held in certain trusts, a revocable living trust can help your assets held by the trust to avoid probate, but the trust has to be properly created and it also has to be properly funded. So, whatever states people are in the United States of America, if you need an attorney, I can connect you and I can help you to get these things set up. And it's not as expensive as a lot of people think,
Mm.
less than $100. And in most places, less than $50.
Wow. Thank you. Are you hearing that, my friends? Sometimes less than $100. Some things less than $50. You know you spend more than $50 on coffee for the week. And this is a lot more important than
Mhm.
your coffee breaks. All right, so pay attention. Pay attention. Now, what are some of the financial mistakes or gaps families should look for while they're getting their estate documents in order?
Oh, I love this question because this is where estate planning and financial clarity really, really, really connect. So you got to ask, do I know what I own? Where are my accounts? Sometimes people have left jobs and they have retirement money sitting at their old jobs. or maybe somebody has passed away and you're not sure if they had life insurance, I can help you to find out if someone who's already passed away had life insurance from an old job, from an old employer, from a different company. You also want to ask, and we've talked about this, but are my beneficiaries current? Are these the people that I want to get my assets? And if you have minor children, a lot of times on life insurance policies, people will put their minor children, like, oh, my baby was just born, my baby is a few months old, I want them to. But remember, if they're a minor when you pass away, that can get stuck in court as well. So you want to make sure that things are set up properly for your children. Other financial gaps: is my income adequately protected? So you make $48,000 a year take home pay, and you are bringing home $4,000 a month, and your family is counting on that money. Have you set it up so that if you pass away, your family continues to get that $4,000 a month or that $10,000 a month? Maybe you want them to do better when you pass away. Is your life insurance aligned with what your family would actually need? Will it pay off the mortgage? Will it pay off the cars? Will it pay for college? What am I on track to have for retirement? And a lot of people think retirement, oh, when I turn 65, well, retirement has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with money. If you're wealthy at 20, you don't have to work until you're 65. You can choose to, but you don't have to. And then, do the people who are important, do they know where to find this important information? I make sure that all of my clients have what we call a financial first aid kit, a financial clarity kit, so that you can keep all of those documents in order and in place. You have to have those legal instructions for distributing your assets, but you still have to build, protect, organize, and really structure your financial life in a way that those instructions are very clear.
Wow. A financial clarity kit. I put that in the
Absolutely.
comment because I want people to remember that. They need to have something like that. And this designation of beneficiary, that is so important. I
Yeah.
have seen so many, mm, so many issues
Yeah.
because my background is financial, corporate finance, and I
Mhm.
worked in retirement in the 401k industry for decades. And I have seen where this designation of beneficiary, it can get real murky, real muddy. If
Mhm.
it's not updated, then you're going to have the wrong person getting your money,
That,
and your children may not be protected. And the point you made that and I'm letting that sink in, and I have to have a conversation with someone. You have minor children. Minor children cannot make decisions, they can't sign legal documents. So when you make them your beneficiaries on anything, when you pass, they can't sign anything to take control of that money. So you want to make sure you have people who you trust. You trust them. And that's the word, trust, to do the best thing for your children.
mhm.
You have to trust the people. And sometimes it's difficult. But just because the person is your blood relative, that doesn't mean that they are the best person. It could be someone you've been friends with. So I'm so glad we're bringing this information to our audience. And this is, like I told you before, she's a powerhouse in her own rights, you know? And I want to jump to this question here that I have playing in my mind as we're talking about financial clarity.
Mhm.
And what does your financial clarity process help someone understand about their current financial picture? Everybody should have a financial picture,
Yeah.
right? Either it's a very small picture or a big picture with you've accumulated an amount of wealth, but we should have one. But what does your financial clarity process help us understand about our current financial picture?
I love that question. So, with my financial clarity process, We start with reality, not assumption. So, where are you today? What do you have coming in? Who do you owe? What do you have saved and invested? Where is it saved? Where is it invested? How much interest are you earning on those accounts? What protection do you have in place? Are you currently on track to live the life that you want to live when you stop working? How much money do you want to have coming in every month in order to become job optional? And then I look at where you are, where you're trying to go, and then I identify any gaps that might be in the middle. So I always tell people, Marilyn, that clarity comes before the strategy, right? Because you can't make a strong financial decision if you don't understand your own financial picture that you're making the decision from. So when people come to me, the same way that you would take your car to a mechanic and plug it in and they give you a diagnostic, or you go to the doctor and they give you an annual physical, well, financial wellness is just as important. And so I use a system where I help people to get their financial health score, and then we talk about ways to improve it.
Awareness is the key.
Yes,
If
it
you
is.
are not aware of where you are, how are you going to know how to get to where you need to be? So, awareness is the key. Clarity. We need clarity on everything in our personal lives, in our
Mhm.
businesses. And Carrie works with individuals as well as business owners. And the school systems is where she really rocks. She's right there now. She's on a school
Yeah.
campus conducting a financial wellness workshop. So you heard a bell rang a few minutes ago. That was, she's on a school campus, and she's doing this on her phone because she is taking a break from the workshop to do this. And so I want to ask you this as we wrap up, Coach Carrie.
Mhm.
What's one thing you want everyone listening to do after today's conversation?
Have the conversation that you've been putting off. We think about these things and then we scroll through the next video. We watch the next program. We deal with the next emergency. But these are not conversations that we can continue to put off. Have the conversation. Check
Mhm.
whether you have a current will. Review your beneficiaries. I know you said one thing, but know where you are. Know where your documents are. Know where your financial accounts are. People need to know, are you banking with this company or that company? Are you with the bank or are you with the credit union? Make sure those accounts have beneficiaries, and talk with the people who you want to carry out your wishes. You may have your sister in mind. What if your sister doesn't want your kids when you pass away? That's a conversation that you should have now rather than later. And so making sure that you understand your overall financial picture, get financial clarity. You cannot intentionally build, protect, and transfer if you have not taken the time to understand that. So, the one thing is book a financial clarity session with me. Let's see where you are so that we can help you to get to the destination of your choice.
Yes, and I posted your contact information there. And if you are on LinkedIn right now, you just DM her Clarity. DM her Clarity wherever you are listening to her. I put her Facebook handle there, her Instagram handle there as well. DM Coach Carrie Clarity if you want to connect with her to see how she can help you in this. And remember, family, we tune in on the first and third Friday of each month, typically at noon. But today, because Coach Carrie is conducting this workshop, we changed the time to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we meet at 12 noon in the future. And we just want to thank you, Coach Carrie. You are a powerhouse in your own right, like I said, and you dropped some gems here for the audience. And I hope that they took notes, and at the end of this, they can connect with you to learn how you can help them, because this is such an important topic that many of us overlook. I shared this story about the person cared for her husband, and then the former spouse got everything because he did not change it. So don't be afraid to ask the hard questions, and make sure you're protecting yourselves and your family. Make sure, and you can only do that with the help of a professional such as Coach Carrie Willis. Until next time, I'm going to leave you with a word from our sponsor. Okay, and here we go.
Hello. I am Merlin Clark. And as the owner of Mac Leadership Solutions, I know you're driven for growth. The Mac Success Academy is your launchpad to capture those explosive moments and achieve the success you crave. For less than your daily coffee habit at $17 a month, you will gain access to live training, action-oriented teachings, and a library of digital courses that are written, audio, or video. Don't miss out on this investment in yourself. It's the key to unlocking the best year of your life. At under $1 a day, you'll gain the tools and strategies to dominate this year and beyond. Remember, lasting transformation demands action. If you yearn for more success, growth, happiness, and stability, the Mac Success Academy is your answer. It's time to stop wishing and start thriving. Join us today.
Coach Carrie, Coach, thank you so much for being here.